Well, really, like the key to like sustainable happiness is shadow work.
This is Shannon with the Happiness Project, and we are back with Aubrey Shoham today. Her morning, my evening. So we're going to be talking about archetypes. Aubrey, would you like to introduce yourself and what archetype we'll be talking about today?
So my name is Aubrey, and my business is about, well, it's called Empath Energy Alchemy, and I help empaths to understand, to transform energetic overwhelm and to operate more from an alchemist badass mode. And it's really just about using principles of energy in a really practical way so you can navigate your life with more empowerment. And I would like to talk about the child archetype. I like to just start with the child archetype.
Awesome. And will you just say a little bit about archetypes in general and how they help people navigate happiness?
Absolutely. So this is archetypes in general. I want to explain it this way. So just imagine that there's many different aspects of your personality, and there's lots of different stories we can tell ourselves in any moment. And so the archetypes, a certain archetype is going to be like a character, a certain pattern that's going to be filtering an event. And sometimes they combine, but sometimes something can happen, or we can hear someone tell us something. We're filtering it through a perception lens of an archetype. Well, sometimes we can get really clear with it. We can be really clear with it. We can just kind of observe it. But sometimes we can get triggered. So sometimes, especially if there is an archetype that wants healing, that we haven't processed something around, we can, like a common one would be a child archetype, like a wounded child or an orphan child archetype. We could be perceiving something as like, this person's rejecting me. So like someone could be doing their thing, like making a choice to do something else. Like we invite a friend over for something, and they make a choice they say like, oh, it's not going to work for me, I'm going to do something else. But if our orphan archetype is in high alert mode of like, we're already in a place where I don't have very many friends, or this past relationship, a recent relationship just ended. I just talked to one of my parents on the phone, and they really don't understand me. I don't have a place in this world. And a friend just simply says, no, I can't have dinner with you tonight. We can internalize that as like, and look at that as hard evidence of, see, no one wants to be around me. That's if our orphan archetype is screaming inside of us. So, and I also let me explain it this way. So archetypes are characters of energy. And I like to imagine them as like wheels of energy around us that we can grab onto and internalize, or we can observe. We can observe something, like something can be screaming inside of us, and we could be like, okay, I hear you, I see you. Okay, that's definitely some orphan archetype energy there. I'm just going to sit back with it. I'm going to observe this. And all archetypes have three aspects. So they're going to all have a desire, like an orphan archetype wants to belong, but they can do that in a potential form, so a positive form, or they can do that in a shadow form, negative form. So they're all dimensional that way. And I like to imagine them as spinning wheels of light like that, that's just my visual of it though. But that's how I like to imagine energy, our energy centers inside of us and then energy outside of us, is that we can just say, okay, I'm going to grab onto that. I'm bringing that in. Or if something does come in and we start to feel ourselves respond to that, we can step outside of it and observe it. Like, wow, I've got some serious wounded child energy to work through right now.
Yeah, so it's like taking yourself out of the pain of it, or the drama of it, or the feeling like that is you. That's just one aspect of you.
Yes.
And that is easier to deal with.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Also, there's sometimes if I want to do something, if I want to change my routine a little bit, I could have a struggle within me. There's two archetypes inside of me that have two completely different agendas. And that's where a lot of us get when we start looping in our stories and we complain, and then someone might give a suggestion and we start shooting down every suggestion that might be possible for us. We're looping like, this is my complaint and this is the reason why it's going to be this way forever. Like, no, I can't do that because of this. And so we have multiple archetypes with multiple stories, complaining and then shooting down other reasons. And then there could be a desire. There's like a desire inside of us, like, I really want to change this. I really want to start doing something different about this, but blah, 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 blah.
Good. So today we're going to talk specifically about the child archetype. And I believe this is one of the 4 that we all have. Is that correct?
Okay, yes. So we have 4. We all have 4 earth coordinate archetypes. So, we're all spiritual beings having this human experience. We have authentic, like mystical, spiritual archetypes innately, and they're all unique to each person. But when we come into this world and we're raised, we're going to receive programming from our tribe, from our family, from the culture and the philosophies in our home. And so we have to have some kind of coordinates, earth coordinates around these things, which are our child archetype, our innocence, this is really, the child archetype really represents how our mind, our thought forms were programmed. But it is like our sense of wonder, our sense of like magical wonder, our sense of being taken care of and feeling safe, by feeling protected by our community or people around us. And that can be as adults, like when we're working for a company, like talking about the insurance that our company provides, like the insurance package, like things like that, like our government, wanting to feel like people in authority are taking care of us. That's a very adult, like, we want to know that there's something outside of us that's supporting us in our daily life. And that's our child archetype. Like, are we okay? Am I okay?
Right. So what is the desire for the child archetype?
The desire is to belong. The desire is to belong, to be playful, to be in play and magic, and to that sense of wonder, that sense of innocence and wonder, not bringing up the skepticism. When you get to know somebody and they remind you of someone else that you met, so you might be kind of using a filter of getting to know them. Well, a child archetype, and we have these moments where, like, wow, I've never, where we are present with someone, we've never met someone like them, and we're just like, who are you? Let me get to know you. And that's very child archetype. Like, tell me about yourself. And when we're really present and authentic with a person, that's our child archetype, just receiving someone without baggage, or without a skeptical story. Or it doesn't even have to be judgment. It could just be like, you remind me of my favorite person, and I'm receiving you and filtering through a past experience. That's not child archetype. The child archetype's present and authentic and listening and getting to know someone that story by story.
And you mentioned the orphan child. Are there different varieties of the child?
Yeah. So we've got the magical child, is like that positive, the potential aspects of the child archetype, and making dull moments magical and playful, we know these magical children, right? You are this magical child. Like, I love your laugh, Shannon. You're like your laugh's contagious. You've got this amazing. So,
thank you.
But, so, the magical child is like just making anything, like being able to turn any moment into something playful and fun. Getting to know someone authentically in the moment, receiving them like they completely in the moment. And then the shadow aspects would be about holding on to past wounds from childhood and orphan child. Like, there's this wounded child that doesn't necessarily have to be orphaned. It's just like really this hurt child. Or then there's this orphan child of like, I don't belong anywhere. Everyone got invited to the birthday party but me. Or, like and this can come from like if your parents weren't emotionally available, or if you had to deny aspects of yourself as a child, like being myself isn't safe. So I have to pretend to be somebody else. Like, no, I'm not accepted. But it comes, and a lot of adults struggle with this. Like, I don't belong anywhere. I have a lot of different groups of friends, but every group of friends that I spend time with, I feel a little different. Yeah, and then it can also, that social anxiety, it could be like reoccurring stories where we sabotage moments before we've really been able to experience them. Like, I walked into the room and I felt so uncomfortable. I just didn't feel like I fit in, so I left.
Right. So how could somebody use the energy of the child archetype, or what tools could somebody use in reference to this to help them with happiness, or help them if they want to achieve the magical child or veer away from the orphan child?
Well, I think it's really important to be able to like cultivate this observer archetype, right? To be able to step outside of it, just to really witness it. And all of these archetypes are really neutral and really like, it's giving them permission to exist. So there's nothing wrong with an orphan archetype. It has a story to tell. So to really give it some space to be able to exist, and to just shift the relationship a little bit. And even if there is a moment where you walk into a room and you want to leave, if you really want to leave, to just shift that story, like not to sit in guilt around it. You're like I'm just my orphan archetype was really triggered. I'm going to take care of her for a little bit. So one of the best things about healing shadow child things, anything like wounds or orphan triggers, is to reparent yourself. Is to really take care of these aspects, because sometimes we want to tell these parts of ourselves that they are wrong and that they shouldn't be there. We want to villainize these parts of ourselves, but there's a story, there's past trauma. So we have to be able to like take care of that in a really good way, to give them permission to exist, to listen to their stories, to make small promises to ourselves every day and keep them. So we have to give ourselves some boundaries, and we have to be able to keep our promises, because there's it could, a lot of times when this is a big archetype, there could be a sense of lack of trust for ourselves. So we have to be an adult, and we have to take our little child archetypes and let them know that they can trust us, because there could be some other adult aspects of us that aren't consistent. It's really about stepping into, like, like belonging to yourself, making your own body your home, feeling really safe and at home in your body. And everywhere you go, you belong. But this is obviously really personal work. So there's like each person is going to find some kind of individual way with it. Basically, though, it is about giving any shadow aspects a place to exist, validating them, letting them know that.
Do you have a specific exercise for listening to these parts of yourself? I love that, like listening to their stories.
Yeah. So journaling, though, journaling is like the thing that I really always, it's about like really giving your child archetype a voice and tuning into the exact phrases that it says. Like, you know, if there's usually a sentence that it just like, see, you don't belong anywhere. See, no one likes you. See, like, you know, like if it's specific to childhood, like calling one of your parents and having them not remember the last, you know, you might have mentioned something and they forgot about it or something, like, see, my mom doesn't really care or something, you know, just kind of tuning into the exact voices that it says, so you can be really clear when it comes up into the mind of like, okay, hi, child archetype. And just really being clear with this kind of energy. Like, okay, I'm really in this wounded child archetype right now. I've really got some orphan energy going on.
Right. And maybe just saying, what do you need?
Yeah.
Like, I hear you, what do you need?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share about this archetype?
I mean, it's really just about being present and listening to the stories, getting clear with the voice, understanding like how this this archetype shows up in us. Also understanding where we might feel a little uneasy, like our feeling like where we might be dismissed and we might feel like out of place, like questioning like what kind of environments might not be healthy for us too, like what kind of social environments our child archetype might feel unsafe, and asking ourselves if that's something that we need to change, or if we just need to give this child some space and some healing, like some kind of, if there's something we need to process, or if there's something we need to rearrange in our life. And to give and I like just giving yourself small promises each day that you can definitely fulfill.
Yeah, I love the like learn their voice. I love that one a lot, because as you said that, I'm like, yes, these definitely have very specific voices. Like I know what some of mine are in that archetype. Just I didn't think of that until you said it. And then I really like the small promises and like building trust in yourself. And to me, that's also like you will always have somewhere to belong if you build the trust with yourself. So
Yes.
then your child can be taken care of.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Cool. Where can people find you?
So I do a lot of work on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Empath Energy Alchemists. I do a lot of discussions there. I have a one-to-one program. I have an online class and a one-to-one program where I offer 4 sessions in a small course over a 5 to 6 week period.
Okay.
So.
Very good. All right, Aubrey, thank you so much for coming back.